But
well, Noel,
they have.
I'm glad now you bring me on to a subject, Noel. There's over a 30-goal striker. He's Irish. He was in the Championship last season, and whatever about Arsenal, there's Sammy Smollett, the Blackburn Rovers. He played the first game of the Championship Friday night. He scored again. He's created the second goal. But I cannot understand the teams in the lower of the Premiership. Not alone they're not buying him. There's no even talk about, no mention of it. I cannot understand it.
Yeah, I'll just switch the subjects a little bit. Yeah, I can down in the bottom half. I think there has been linked. He has been linked with Ipswich there a couple of weeks ago, Pop. I think that's gone very quiet lately, and I do think he is aging to move, but nothing seems to be happening. I'm really surprised that even at the championship has started this weekend, that he hasn't left yet. No, I'm not trying to put down Blackburn Rovers at all. Look, they're a great club. They won the Premier League in the past there in '95, and they've had a great history, but they are in the championship, and they were down at the bottom near the championship last year. And if it wasn't for him, they would have got relegated. There's no doubt about it.
No, I suppose Arsenal are not going to. We go back to Arsenal. They're probably, but they wouldn't even talk about him. Even in the podcast of all the shows and the number of clubs, his name was not even mentioned. Top scorer in English soccer last season.
Yeah, I just don't know, but and I said to you earlier, I said to you the last time I was speaking to you about him, his age, which is crazy, but his age is going to be a factor into this. Because the trouble is, Paul, a lot of the I'm not downplaying this, but a lot of Premier League clubs now are owned by Americans, and they like to buy young and sell to make a profit, and they're taking up the profit straight away, Paul. They think if they buy him, like say Premier League club, say one of the clubs that's owned by Americans, or any Premier League club at the moment, they buy him. He's nearly 30 now, 28, 29. I forget his age. He's around that mark anyway.
Yeah.
They'll have no sell-on value. Like when he say he plays 3 or 4 years in the Premier League, if he's lucky, they won't be able to make any profit on that. He could leave on a free transfer because the contract he'll get is he'll probably last that contract if he's good enough, and he probably won't be offered a new one. So that's sadly the reality where a lot of players, when they reach 30 or near 30, the clubs are thinking of a sell-on value. They want to make a profit on you all the time. They won't get the money back for what they paid for you. So they're going to see it as a loss, which is crazy because he kept Blackburn Rovers in the championship last year. He's playing in a poor side, and he's still got 30 goals last season. So
I know it's 34, including the cup games.
Yeah, and I honestly don't get how a team. Now I know Paul Forest have a lot of players, but like the amount of players he bought over the last couple of years, I'm sorry, you haven't been linked with him. Maybe you haven't.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that. Sorry, no, for cutting across you. There's a number of podcasts, but there's a particular podcast on for Nottingham Forest, and the presenter is a former professional sports journalist, and some of the guests he's on are former players, they're former sports journalists themselves. And I was listening during the summer. I made my business to listen, and there was only one mention of him. Maybe just after the season finished, they gave about 30 seconds, and a former player said, no, we won't go for him at all. He'd be too much of a risk. And there was more talk about it. And I couldn't believe it. I was literally dumbfounded watching it. And these are professional sports journalists, former professional players, guys who've been involved in coaching. So it's not just the fella inside in the pub drinking the pint of beer, just, you know what I mean with that? I just find it unbelievable stuff now. And Nottingham Forest are going to be in a relegation battle before the ball is kicked on the relegation battle. And this guy, and remember, the guy last year from New Zealand, Chris Wood, is 31 and 32, and he saved Nottingham Forest last season with his goal. So I'm just blown away by it.
Yeah, I suppose people might think, Paul, it might have been a one-season wonder. Do you know the way some teams have a player that plays really well one season and be absolutely terrible the next, and they'd be thinking, God, how has he gone? How was that? Was that season last season just a fluke? It has happened in the past. I think there was a player from Swansea, Michu, I think was his name. Maybe pronounced his name wrong. He was very good one season, but then the couple of seasons after, he was a disaster. So maybe they think that maybe clubs and fans are thinking like that. But I agree with you though. He should be at least mentioned down at the bottom 5 or 6 clubs at least, because he's a goal scorer, Paul. He's a player on form. He scored again at the weekend. He's a clinical finisher.
Goals, no. He's not just a fox in the box, as the old phrase. He creates them.
Yeah, he does create them. Dwight I saw him have a poor enough game was funny enough the Ireland game. He played against Hungary. Now there was a few things said about him declaring for Hungary and he didn't. He said that's all a load of rubbish. And he did seem a little bit agitated. I don't know if you saw it, Paul. The Troy Parrott goal Troy Parrott himself were clean through on goal, and people say, why didn't Troy Parrott pass it to him? All he did was lay it off to him and he's an open goal. But lucky enough, Troy Parrott didn't pass it to him because Sammy Smaddox is actually ahead of the ball down goals, and Smaddox, probably very unprofessionally, is actually ahead of the ball when Troy Parrott kicks it. So lucky enough, he didn't pass it to him. That's the only time I saw him really be a bit poor, very poor in front of goals because the game against Hungary for Ireland. But other than that, I think he's been a fine addition to Blackburn Rovers. I don't know how many years he's been with him, but he's been with him a while. And I'm surprised he hasn't been touted to
no, just to change the subject, there is a couple of weeks, I think it's the 1st of September, the transfer window, so there is a possibility, and as you said, Ipswich, there was some talk about it, but I would be surprised if someone doesn't come in for him. Just back to the Premiership, is there any other Irish players now, maybe just that you think, I know Southampton got promoted, of course, now Leeds missed out, and it was, I know Burnley and Sheffield United were relegated, they had Irish players, but there's talk that Darren Murphy might be moving, there's some talk that he could go to Brentford, so Seamus Coleman, and of course, they brought Jacob Bryant from Everton, Bryant from the Finnish club, Leon A. So it'd be interesting how he goes because he's a young player with a good potential, a good future.
I'd be very interested, Paul, to see. Yeah, I'd be very interested, Paul, to see how Jacob Bryant does with Everton. He's obviously had a few seasons with Leon in the French league. He seems to be good, strong, big centre half. He's been managed now by Sean Dyche, so he'll get the best of him as well. Now, is that a preparation for Braithwaite? That the Everton centre back. He's a good player, and there's been talk that he could be on the transfer list for numerous clubs like Manchester United and stuff like that. But he's Jacob Bryant. Getting back to Jacob Bryant, I'd be interested to see how he does. Another player I like to see do well is Will Smallbone. I think there's a good player in there. It's just that I don't know. Sometimes he can be good, he can be bad, but his consistency I think is Smallbone's problem. I saw him play against Greece there. He looked in the game that we lost 2-0. He looks a decent enough player. Wants a bit more on the ball. To be fair, I think he can be a good player. And Aiton Collins, the transfer to Brentford, I thought he was poor enough last season. This is a big season for him. Seamus Coleman is probably on his last year with Everton now. I think he's their appearance holder for the Premier League as far as I know. Seamus Coleman. Good wire, great defender for the club, but it is probably the last hurrah for him. No, not finishing him off, Paul, but for a Premier League player, the standards he can only go for so long, and he's been a great player for Ireland as well. So and of course management. So I think, look, I think the three teams that come up, Ipswich, Southampton, and Leicester, they're going to be on a real battle with teams like Forest and Brentford if they have as bad a season as they did last season. I don't think Wolves or Palace this year will get dragged into it. I think Wolves did okay in last season. Palace, when they got the new manager in, when Roy Hodgson left, they got a new bounce, and I think they're scoring much more goals. They're playing much more on the front foot, less defensive, and actually, funny enough, when they've got on more on the front foot, they've actually controlled the ball a little bit more and kept the ball a bit better, and they've had less defensive to do because they've been playing a better football. And look,
just a quick question for you. Is there any talk about Keller or Liverpool moving, or is he happy to stay as number 2 and keep playing at the top level and competing in Europe and maybe get his chance?
Well, I heard something that he was looking to move. Yeah, I heard something that he was looking to move, but it was Celtic were linked with him there not so long ago. But I think Kasper Schmeichel now has gone to Celtic, so he's that position is filled. I do think he has to get out of. I'm not trying to finish him off for Liverpool, but I think Heimar Grimson, the new manager, I think has insisted that he wants him playing football, and I think that's good, Paul, because I think we can't have a situation where our number one goalkeeper for Ireland is sitting on the bench week in, week out. But Gavin Bazuna now is out for the season. He got a bad injury down in the last season, and it's a long-term one. So we can't have two of our best goalkeepers, one out through injury, one on sitting on the bench all the time, or you getting the odd. Like, don't forget, Liverpool are in the Champions League now this year, so you won't be getting the Europa League games this year as well either. So unless Alisson gets an injury, he's not playing. You only get the odd cup game, but that's no good. It's not good enough for a goalkeeper of Kelleher's class. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. I know myself, being a Chelsea fan, he broke our hearts on the League Cup final. He's a very good goalkeeper, but he needs to be playing week in, week out. And It's only because Alisson got injured last season and because of cup games he got his chance, but he won't get as many chances this year because, as I said, Liverpool are in the Champions League. So I do think he has to move if he wants to.
No,
Like,
sorry,
he
another
doesn't want
question.
to
I just thought of another question. In the top 5 or 6 clubs, Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, whoever be Aston Villa, apart from Kelleher, is there any other Irish player that you're aware of? Or maybe is there maybe young ones and underage, but in the top squad, we call them. I know there's a Northern
Tops.
Ireland fella at Liverpool, right? But in the Republic of Ireland, I can't think of anything in the top
No,
5 or 6
no,
clubs.
Paul. No, there's no top Irish player. No top club that's got an Irish player now, Paul. Top 6, definitely not. None of Chelsea. With all the players who've signed, there's not an Irish player inside. Arsenal don't have any. Manchester United, like I said, they have Johnny Evans, but he's Northern Ireland, to be fair. I think Tottenham have sold Troy Parrott now, to be fair. Troy Parrott wasn't looking down. He's been on numerous times. Aston Villa, I'm escaping me if I'm wrong, but they might have maybe academy players, maybe in youth teams, but none at the senior level. So Man City, definitely not. So look, Irish players from 7 or 8 down, Paul, is where you're going to find Irish players now, to be fair. And that's where you're going to find even the top Irish players. Evan Ferguson, I think he's injured. He's at Brighton. I think Brighton finished around 10th or 11th last season. They had a very inconsistent season. I think Brighton being out of Europe might actually help them this season because they hadn't the squad